engineer are you?
I'm Charles Mendoza. I'm an electronics communications engineer. In my current job in ST Microelectronics, I work as a senior customer support engineer, and we analyze the defects that the semiconductor devices has on currently being used by the customers, and we give them or provide to them the necessary solutions and explanations on how the problem occurred and how the problem could be resolved.
What do you usually do in your profession?
In my profession as a customer support engineer in ST Microelectronics, I reply to all customer inquiries with regards to issues, customer issues. So basically, we analyze the issues that the customer have on the devices that we supply to them, be it in the form of failure analysis, electrical testing, material analysis, and other issues related to the use of the device on the customer's side. We also conduct trainings for other engineers such as FMEA, SPC, and conduct audits with regards to ISO 9000, IATF, and other standards that the customer requires.
What difficulties you encounter in being an engineer?
In my current job, the common difficulties, or basically the number one difficulty that we have, is explaining technical items, technical issues to non-technical personnel. As a customer support engineer, I have to ensure that the sales engineers and field quality engineers understand how the defect happened, whether it be through explanation of material science, explanation of wafer level analysis or failure analysis, so that they will be able to explain it well to the customer, to the end customer. So we at our site would have to simplify the analysis to a point that a non-engineer, a sales personnel, will be able to explain it clearly to the customer.
It's that you gain in being an engineer.
Benefits do you gain as an electronics communication engineer? So, the benefits that you gain being an electronics communication engineer in a semiconductor industry is that I have a fundamental and basic analysis base from my education to understand the problems, the interconnections of semiconductor industry. Also, being an ECE, it helps me to be well-rounded, that I'm able to adapt to different types of technologies that is currently being used in the semiconductor industry, whether it be how a machine processes a semiconductor device. So you might think that it will be just for mechanical engineers, but as an ECE, we also understand how the mechanics of a particular machine works. And also as an ECE engineer, I'm able to understand and apply the learnings that we studied in school with radio frequencies and other types of communication technologies in my current work. As in semiconductor, we not only produce devices for automotives, for electronics, but also devices that uses RF technologies.
What inspired you to be an engineer?
What inspired me to become an engineer? When I was still growing up, I always wanted, or I always had this thing for opening up or trying to analyze how a certain mechanism or toy with motors work. So I had a liking into interconnecting devices, simple batteries, light bulbs, LEDs, to make it work and function as I would want it to be. So to answer the question, what inspired me? I I got inspired by wanting to do what uh, I wanted when I was little. That is to produce something, to understand the technology and how it was produced, and how it can be improved for the next generation.
Can you give to future engineers?
Tips that I could share or I could give to future engineers. So I guess number one would be remember the basics. Remember the basics of math, whether it be algebra, trigo, addition, subtraction, division, as you will use it in your work. Also, whether it be like chemistry, so you might think that, like for me, electronics communication engineer, but if you go into a different industry, chemistry plays a part or a role. So for us, it is how glues, chemicals are used to form or be part of a semiconductor device. Physics, also remember the basics of physics, as for every action there's always an opposite and equal reaction. So basics for math, science is very important as an engineer. Second, you should always have discipline. Discipline is formed in school, is informed at home, is formed by the person itself. A person without discipline will be lost in whatever field that he will go to. Always remember that discipline will be your guide to success. Third, as an engineer, we always become, or we are always thought of to be as technical. So being technical is good, but in the real world, communication also needs to play its part. You should be able to translate what technical matter that is in your mind, so that the other person or the person that you're facing will be able to understand, appreciate what you want to happen. And lastly, my advice, the last advice that I could give to you is that always say thank you to the person that helps you, that guides you, because you will never be successful without the persons around you.